And welcome back to Real Talk Sports with Rico. Today, I will be your host. Today's show, we are talking about the NFL Week 6. I'm actually going to be prompting you here and getting you ready for Week 6, giving you all the big matchups, giving you the keys to the game, and actually telling you my thoughts and predictions going into this game. I also will have some fantasy football news for you guys as well. I know I've been promising this, but I'm actually going to do a segment where I'm going to have should you start them? Should you sit them? So this will prepare you here for week 6 there as far as fantasy football is concerned. Before we actually jump into it, let me go ahead and thank our sponsors for putting sponsorship on the show. Let me go ahead and thank the fans out there who have chimed in on a week-to-week basis here to help us drive content to the show. And then let me go ahead and thank our platforms being Anchor, which is now Spotify podcast. And then also, too, you can catch us on YouTube. That is under Real Talk Sports with Rico. Those links are in the show notes below. So without further ado, let's start with the NFL. Let's start with week 6. And let's start with the game that is currently going on, which is the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. Currently, right now, the Baltimore Ravens are on the 10-yard line and currently driving. They are up here 18-13. Lamar Jackson just rushed the ball to the left side, and they are now on the 5-yard line. So this game is being played overseas here in London. Looks like Ryan Tannehill just limped off to the locker room. So far, he's 8 of 16, 76 yards, 1 INT. Looks like he's got 37.5 as a rating. Looks like Malik Willis is warming up here on the sidelines. Looks like he is getting ready to go into the football game. The score that got the Titans close was Derrick Henry's score. It was a rush to the left side. He's got 10 rushes for 96 yards and a touchdown right now. Lamar Jackson, 18 of 26, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. He has 10 rushing yards or 10 rushes for 55 yards, right now. It actually leads the Ravens in rushing. So right now with this game, I currently have Baltimore in this one, even though Baltimore has slipped down. I think they can go ahead and finish this thing. This is one of those things where, just like we talked about last week with having Devontae on the show, that whenever you are into an inter-squad battle or an interconference battle, then you know it is going to be a tough game. And that's essentially what we're getting here. I know the Titans haven't been great thus far this season, but they're super competitive, especially when it comes to a divisional game. And just a little spoiler alert, the Ravens just rushed to the left here. It looks like Lamar Jackson is now down to the 2 with 13:27 to go here into the fourth quarter. They are now at a 4th and goal. I'll keep you posted here to see what they end up doing. But, just from a receiving standpoint, Lamar Jackson is very good, especially when they get some good receiving help. And right now, he's not getting very much of that. Nelson Aguilar, 2 receptions, 40 yards. Zay Flowers, 4 receptions, 35 yards. He does have a touchdown as well. Odell Beckham, very quiet, 2 for 34. Mark Andrews, 3 of 31 in this one. So, and on the other side of this thing, you have DeAndre Hopkins, 1 for 20. Derrick Henry, 2 for 16. Nick Westbrook, who just went out of the game with a tough hit. Looks like it probably is concussion protocol. He has 2 receptions for 16 yards. The Ravens end up kicking a field goal. Is now 21-13, struggling to get it into the end zone. But yeah, I have the Ravens in this one. I think that they are going to be able to pull it out here. I think that essentially, even without a good running game, I feel like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens should be able to take enough air out of the football here and take a struggling, anemic offense off the field here and make them play from behind, which is what you want. That's one thing that I think is a formula to success against the Titans. Historically, they have not been a good come from behind team because they don't know how to necessarily air it out down the field. Ryan Tannehill is more of a game manager. They're more of a play action type of running team, even though Derrick Henry is running well. I don't think that they're going to be able to get enough time back in this one to win this football game. But I will keep you posted here as we're now at 12:49 into the fourth quarter. Next, let's move on here to some slides, guys, as we move to the Bengals and we have the Seahawks here. So I think that this is going to be a terrific football game in the sense that the Bengals, it's like, have they come off of, this slow start? They're 2-3 right now. Historically, Jamar Chase had a really big week last week, finding the end zone multiple times here. And he's hot. I mean, he's got 3 touchdowns thus far. I think he scored all of those all of last week here. And I feel like now that Joe Burrow is somewhat healthy, I don't think he's all the way healthy. I think that they have a real legit chance here. You have Seattle, which is traveling and going through the time zone here, coming from the NFC West over to Cincinnati. So I think that that does bode well a little bit here for Cincinnati. The over-under on this one is 45 points in this. I think that this is going to be a 24-17 game. And you know what? I like the Seattle Seahawks, and I like Seattle because I think that for one, the home field advantage has gone out of the window for a lot of teams if you look at it historically this year for whatever reason. But I think that Geno Smith, I feel like Kenneth Walker the third, I feel like DK Metcalf, I feel like that they're going to make a lot of plays today. And I feel like mainly Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are going to be able to run the football effectively here. I think that when you look at the points scored per game, you're looking at a Seattle Seahawks team that is sixth in the NFL, coming in at 27.8, even though the Bengals got a good scoring output last week against the Cardinals. I don't expect for that to last here. They're coming in averaging 16 points a game, and they're going against a defense that is pretty formidable. I will give the Bengals a little bit of credit. They do own the time of possession here, but as far as like running against, you're looking at the sixth best in the league with Seattle. So that basically takes away Joe Mixon. So I think that that's going to make the Bengals very one-dimensional. The one thing that the Bengals do have a chance to do is exploit Seattle's secondary. Seattle is coming in, giving up about 280 yards a game. They're 30th in the NFL right now. And the Bengals are 11th on defense, giving up 196. The problem is there's been a lot of inconsistency there, especially since Jamar Chase has been taken away. I feel like with that three-headed monster with T. Higgins and all those guys like that and Tyler Boyd, they have not been effective. And I just don't feel like that the kinks are worked out enough. I still don't like Joe Burrow in his mobility here. As far as giving up sacks, you're looking at a Seattle team that is fifth in the league as far as getting sacks. He is going to be under a lot of pressure today. They're not going to be able to run the football, which is going to take the play action away. They're going to have him essentially out there, and I think Seattle's going to feast up front. The best pass rush is, or the best pass defense is a good pass rush. I think that Seattle's going to have that. So I like Seattle in this one, 24-17. And just a little update here. It looks like Ryan Tannehill was actually just carted off the field. And Malik Willis is now starting here in his first series with 11:31 to go. He is on the move. They're at the 35-yard line. Just a play fake here to Derrick Henry, stepping up in the pocket. He's on the run, taking it to the left. Good scramble for about 8 or 9 yards. So looking good here in his first play. So I'll keep you posted with that. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a Seattle win here against Cincinnati. So next up here, let's look at the next game going into week number 6, and that is the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that this is one of the games of the week, if not the game of the week. You are looking at a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, which I think a lot of people would say has been a very big surprise. I don't think a lot of people thought that Baker Mayfield was going to come over and be this effective. The Detroit Lions, we knew that they were going to be good off of last year. It was a matter of we were anticipating, we were just wondering if they were going to show up. This is on the road. You know how Jared Goff has struggled outdoors on the road, but it is Tampa Bay, so it's not that cold out there. You're looking at a 43 over under score on this one. I think that there is going to be some points to be had in this one. I think that this is going to be, I think it's going to be a 30-27 football game. And I'm leaning towards The Detroit Lions. I'm leaning towards the Detroit Lions because I think that David Montgomery is going to make enough plays on the ground game. He's had a phenomenal year since he's got out of Chicago. He's got 6 touchdowns on the year, and he's averaging 4.2 a carry, which is what the Bears wanted to see. And then you're looking at the fact that Jared Goff only has 3 INTs on the year. I feel like that they're going to be able to play a little bit of ball control here. The time of possession definitely goes down to Detroit, who is having a 33-minute to 29-minute differential. Detroit is 4th in the league right now. And remember, with Coach Campbell, they actually go for it on 4th down. They remind me a lot of Nick Sirianni and what the Philadelphia Eagles like to do. I think that Detroit is going to make enough plays on the road here, even against a stout defense. I got this one going down to the wire. Like I said, 27-24 slightly. I think that Detroit is going to make just enough plays. Defensively, man, you're looking at very good secondaries. Tampa Bay is 5th as far as picking off the football. They've got 6 on the year. You got the Detroit Lions at 7th. Sacks, you're looking at the Detroit Lions, who have improved that up front with what they had. They're 15th in the league. You have Tampa Bay, who is 21st. So not bad, but they're still able to get to the quarterback, So they're still able to get home. And as far as rushing yards against, you're looking at both defenses are in the top 10, with the Detroit Lions only giving up 68 a game and Tampa Bay giving up 94. So that's why I have Detroit in this one, because I think that Detroit is going to be able to gash Tampa Bay's defense on the running attack. But I don't think that, conversely, Tampa Bay is going to be able to do the same against Detroit. Remember, Rachaad White, he is starting now. And he really hasn't been that great taking over for Leonard Fournette. And so I think that that's going to be tough, but I think you are going to see some really good play from Baker Mayfield, because they're probably going to be trailing in this one. He's en route for a career year. He's got 7 touchdowns, 2 INTs. I think Mike Evans, who's healthy enough to play today, is going to have a good day. And I think Mike Evans is going to have a good day as well. Like, I feel like Mike Evans is going to get loose. They're utilizing him a lot. I love what Todd Boyles has been dialing up with him, putting him in the slot. He's been putting him at the X, the Z, whatever you can think of, and they're getting him open. So I think that he is going to have a feast out there as well. So this is going to be the most entertaining game, although I do like Detroit slightly in this one, 27-24 against the Buccaneers. Next up, the next game we have is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Jets. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles will stay undefeated in this one against the Jets. I just think that you're looking at a tough uphill battle for the Jets, because the Jets are mainly focusing on running the football. And that's one thing that Philadelphia does take away, is they take away your ability to run the football. Breece Hall has been, I think, pretty good thus far. He's had a 7.2 average as far as yards per carry, but Zach Wilson coming in with 4 touchdowns against 5 INTs. He's only getting you about 182 yards a game. You're going against Zach Ertz, who is the most blitz quarterback in the league, and he's still able to make plays out there. He's got 6 touchdowns over 4 INTs. I think the fact that Philadelphia has faced a lot of pressure, and they're going to face a defense that is very good and going to be able to create a lot of pressure, I don't feel like Philadelphia is going to be flustered in this one. I feel like they're going to be able to essentially do what they need to do. They're coming in this thing on the road. I think that the home field advantage has gone out of the way. I like with the points per game with the 28 for Philadelphia. I love that about them. The total yards per game, they're second in the NFL, coming up with about 416 yards a game. You're looking at the running attack with DeAndre Swift. They're second in the league with that one, so 164 yards. So, look, they don't even have to put air into the football. And just like I talked about Detroit, who is 4th in time of possession, Philadelphia is 1st in time of possession. And that's what they were able to do against the Rams last week. It wasn't like they were scoring a whole bunch of points, but they were able to play keep away And I think that they're going to be able to play keep away against this Jets defense. I think that they're going to tire them out. I don't think that they're going to make a lot of mistakes in this one. I like the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. This is a 42 5 over or under on this one. I do think it's probably going to be a bit of a clunker. I think this is going to be like a 20-10 game. I like Philadelphia in this one to continue on their streak and remain undefeated. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints against the Houston Texans here. So this is intriguing to me. I mean, the Saints are coming in 3-2. I thought that they were going to be top of the division, so they're right there where I anticipated them being. They don't look as good as I thought they were going to look with Derek Carr, but nevertheless, there's a couple ways to get to your destination, and the Saints are definitely showing that. I feel like the fact that they've gotten Alvin Kamara back, that's kind of opened up the offense. They've had a healthy Michael Thompson thus far. But I think, on the other side of the ball, the key has been C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's averaging 292 yards per game. I just talked about how Zach Wilson is only averaging 181 yards a game. And C.J. Stroud's got 7 touchdowns and no INTs. That is like historical for a rookie quarterback. And let me give C.J. Stroud his roses thus far. Is C.J. Stroud – probably a lot of people were thinking, okay, was he the best quarterback in the draft? You had Will Levis out there. You had Bryce Young. You had C.J. Stroud. He is proving that he is the guy. He should have been the guy. And, not to take anything away from Bryce Young. I mean, I know a lot of it has to do with situations, but I feel like Coach DeMarco Ryans has managed him very well. I feel like they've done a great job in Houston as far as putting guys around him with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, some explosive wide receivers that can get it done. But I do like the Houston Texans here at home. I know they're 2-3 in a tough AFC South game, which, by the way, the Ravens are driving a huge catch by Mark Andrews. They are into Titan territory. They are right now in the 40, driving with 5:40 to go. This would definitely be a put away drive here. It's just like I was talking about the Ravens taking air out of the football. But back to it, I think that C.J. Stroud is going to make enough plays here. I know that this defense can get it done for the Saints, but one of the things about the Saints is they are 24th in the league in sacks, so you're really depending on the fact of can they get home. I will put in the fact that this is going to be the toughest test in the secondary with Marshawn Lattimore and those guys back there. The Saints are actually 3rd in the league with 7 takeaways as far as interceptions. So that is going to be tough for C.J. Stroud. So I feel like if C.J. Stroud can dominate this, I feel like C.J. Stroud is on his way to quite a career, especially since the news with Anthony Richardson going down. And just back to the Ravens and Titans here, huge rush from Lamar Jackson. He is down to now, it looks like a 3rd and 1, but there's a flag on the play. Again, 5:22 to go. Ryan Tannehill carted off here as this is looking really slim for the Titans right now, as they actually have called an interference call on the Titans. So that is actually going to move the ball further as they are now down to about the 25-yard line. So I like the Texans in this one. I think that they're going to steal this one. I like this one to be another clunker. I think that this is going to be something like a 17-12 ball game in favor of the Houston Texans. I like them to get it done here. I'm not sure Alvin Kamara or Chris Olave is going to make enough plays. Derek Carr is playing injured. He hasn't been healthy since week 2 or 3. But I like the Texans in a lot of ways here. I think that they are going to be the first home team to win this Sunday. Next up, guys, we have the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So speaking of rookie quarterbacks, guys, if you listened to the show last week, I told you about Anthony Richardson. I told you about how I was not really excited about the fact that he was essentially getting injured. He's been injured. He got knocked out of 2 or 3 games with concussions. And I love how he competed, but he was still trying to take the same level of physicality from college into the pros. I thought that he mimicked a lot of RG3 with the way he was starting off. And I thought for sure he could be the rookie of the year. Now you're finding out that he has an AC joint sprain. From what I've read here with the injury report, it looks like that the injury is actually much worse than that. It's looking like that it's going to be a season injury or season-ending injury to that AC joint here, which is really bad. When you're already talking about a rookie coming into the league that has to get a major shoulder surgery, guys, like that is not good at all. And so I don't like that with the fact that he's out today. I mean, I do like Gardner Minshew. They're 3-2. I mean, if they can win today, they're obviously going to be at top against a tough AFC South here. I, man, this is going to be tough because Zach Moss is actually the best running back on the roster right now. Like, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is up to speed yet. Zach Moss is having a career year, taking everything that he learned in the Buffalo. Gardner Minshew is a mobile quarterback. You're not going to get the same mobile efforts that you would get out of Anthony Richardson here. I mean, time of possession, you're looking at another tough situation because Doug Peterson, he comes from that Philadelphia Eagles culture. He was the Philadelphia Eagles coach before Nick Sirianni. So a lot of his offense that's coming over from Philadelphia is coming here to Jacksonville. They're 5th in the league as far as time of possession. Calvin Ridley lit these guys up in week 1. He is another guy that I'm going to put on my fantasy football watch. We'll talk about in that segment of the show. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one. And the key to this one is Travis Etienne. Can Travis Etienne run the football effectively? This is going to be a nasty game. He's been hot. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's averaging 4.2 yards per game. I think that this is a matchup where he can definitely take advantage of the Colts, who are giving up 119 yards a game versus a Jaguars team that is very stingy on the ground. And also 2 interceptions wise, the Jags are 7th in the league with 5 takeaways. And so that's one of the things that Gardner Minshew has struggled with his time with the Jags, is he threw the football away. Even though he is not thrown any interceptions in this one, I think that this is going to be tough. I don't think he's going to be able to ball manage as enough and really kind of just play that quarterback game where he's not making big mistakes. I think that they're going to be down in this game. I think that they're going to be chasing points. I like the Jags in this one. I think that they're going to come in here at the home. I think they're going to get some home field advantage, home field cooking here. I like this one in an over-under of 44. I like this one to be a 24-10 game in favor of Jacksonville. Next up, let's take a look at our next game here. We have the New England Patriots and the now the Las Vegas Raiders. And so, I mean, I would say it's the family reunion and who we introduce. I say it's the family reunion because you have Josh McDaniels, who obviously was the Patriots offensive coordinator. So we know that Coach Belichick is very familiar with this one. You have a Patriots team coming in here that played in a very epic football game last year. Remember, Ramondre Stevenson had a career year, like not a career year, but a career game against the Raiders last year. So there's so much familiarity here, and I think that this is almost like a family reunion. These teams know each other so well. I think that this is going to be the Raiders game to lose. And I think that because when you look at New England is in so much turmoil with the quarterback play. Like, I really think that they are just probably, I think, a game away from literally like moving on from Mac Jones totally. Okay. I'm not sure why they cut Zappy early and then brought him back, because I think that Zappy in a lot of ways was the better quarterback last year. And then on top of that, another guy that I want to put on your radar is Malik Cunningham. He had an extremely good preseason. He showed the mobility, he showed the arm strength, he showed the ability to actually go down the field. And remember, he was doing that with the third string. So I'm wondering, would he be a guy that's dynamic enough to open things up along with Ramani Stevenson, along with Ezekiel Elliott, for New England to actually open up the playbook? I feel like the playbook is especially locked with Mac Jones. I think it opens up with Malik Cunningham. That's my wild card play here. But other than that, I mean, I like the Raiders in this one in a lot of ways. I think that there is no stopping Devontae Adams. Really, I think that you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, who leads into my family reunion line. He's won 2 Super Bowls with New England as well. So it is going to be a homecoming there. I like for the Raiders to go ahead and avenge that tough overtime loss that they had here last year. I think that they win this football game. I think that this is going to be, I think that this is like a 21 to probably 4. Nah, I'm not even going to say 14. I don't think they're going to get 14 points. I say it's probably like a 21 to either 3 or 10 game. I think that just New England is going to struggle mightily on offense. And even with Malik Cunningham there, it's going to be a tall uphill battle. Next up, you have the New York Giants, and then you have the Buffalo Bills. And so with the New York Giants, I think that this is going to be a tough, tall order. There is a question mark tag on Saquon Barkley coming into this game, but the Giants have been absolutely terrible. Daniel Jones has been terrible after having a career year. He's probably headed to a career low. And they haven't addressed the wide receiver situation. And I feel like that Josh Allen and these guys are very upset with what happened last week with the Jags. They turned it on late instead of being there early. I feel like Stephon Diggs is going to have his pick and be able to get to anywhere he wants to go. There's nobody that's going to be able to stop Josh Allen as a runner. I think that there's nobody that's going to be able to stop him as a passer. I even feel like, Davis is going to have a really good one too as well for Buffalo. And even I feel like Dawson Knox can get open in this one. Like, I feel like they have so much advantages here. James Cook should be able to take advantage of the defense. I mean, look, the Giants are 31st as far as sacks. That's really tough considering that they have Thibodeau over there. They just drafted him a year ago. And then also, too, with interceptions, they are 24th with only 2 takeaways versus a Bills team that is first in league with 8. And that is disastrous against a Daniel Jones who has 6 INTs. He's already got more INTs than he had all of last year. Yeah, this spells the Bills all over it. I think the Bills take advantage of this one. I think that this is going to be a 32, I'm going to say 17 game for the Giants. I just don't think that they have enough here to win in this football game. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins and we have the Carolina Panthers. I like the Miami Dolphins in this one. I think that the Miami Dolphins come in against the winless Panthers and take care of business. I think that this is going to be an interesting game. It is a little scary for me that they don't have David Aiken back there, who is out for 4 weeks, a fabulous rookie of the year candidate at running back. I think that he was going to have a terrific year. He is going to be back, but I don't think it's going to be enough for him to secure the Roy or rookie of the year. But that does mean that it looks like Raheem Mostert is going to start here for the Dolphins. He should be healthy. And now it is back to his job. I think that he's going to be able to find enough running lanes here. He does have 7 touchdowns on the year. He's averaging 5 a carry, obviously, with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think that they're going to have some big days as well. You look at the sacks. The Panthers are coming in at 15th. You look at the interceptions, they're coming in at 11th. The time of possession has been more for the Panthers. I mean, they do lead that versus the Dolphins, who are 20th, but that's kind of an inflated number because the Dolphins score very quickly and they score a lot. And with the Panthers, their time of possession is high because they run a lot of short, intermediate, dinky routes, and they don't really lead to a lot of scoring. It's more like a lot of field goals and things like that, which is why they get beat often. They don't score enough points because their point total is actually 18 a game, which is 25th versus the Dolphins, who are 36. So you get a chance to see how the time of possession can work for you or against you right here in this segment. So I like the Dolphins to take care of this one. The over-under in this one's going to be 27. I think that this is going to be a 37-20 football game. I do think that they're going to score 20 points to the Panthers, but I think it's honestly not going to be enough. And I think this is another home team that will rack up a victory. Next up, you have the Bears and Vikings, 2-1-4 teams. I'm told that Jefferson is, I believe he's going to be out for this one. He's got a hamstring, and if he does play, he would be extremely limited. So I think that that's going to make KJ Osmond have to step up. That's also going to make Jordan Addison have to step up out of USC. So I think that those two are going to have a phenomenal day. I like their offense more than I like the Chicago Bears offense, even though Justin Fields was able to find it against Washington. But Washington has really had a bad secondary. I think that you look at the Vikings, their secondary is a bit better than what the Bears faced last week. And so, because of that, by default, I like Minnesota in this one. I think that they're going to be able to force a lot of errant plays out of Justin Fields. They are a bit better in the sack differential, coming in and generating 13. So I think that pass rush is going to be there for the Vikings. I also think, as well, as far as interceptions are concerned, I think they're going to be able to bait Justin Fields into some interceptions here. But the running totals do show in favor of the Bears, who have been able to run the football. However, their star running back is out due to an injury. So I think that that's going to make Justin Fields and the Bears a little bit more one-dimensional. It's a 44-point over-under kind of game. I do think that it is going to be a close game. I like this one to be a 17-14 game in favor of the Vikings on the road. I think that they come in here to the Bears Stadium, and I think that they take care of business here in Soldier Field. Next up, so our next game that we have is going to be the Washington Commanders against the Atlanta Falcons. I like the Washington Commanders in this particular game. This is a tricky game, okay, because you're wondering, can Washington take away Bijan Robinson, who is the everything for Atlanta? Desmond Ridder, he has the potential to do something really, really good, or it could be really, really bad. He reminds me of Marcus Mariota 2.0. I don't know as far as points scored, and this is very strange too, because Sam Howell hasn't really leaned a lot on Terry McLaurin, but he still opened up the offense as a passer as well. It's kind of like he's spreading the ball all over the field. He's coming in with 6 touchdowns and 6 INTs, 269 as far as yards per game, so he does get it done there. The key, I think, to this football game for Washington is, can they run the football enough to really win this thing? I think that that's going to be the key for them. They're coming in, they're 24th in the league, only averaging 91 yards a game. And I just believe between Antonio Gibson and then also Brian Robinson, they're going to have to show up here for Sam Howell. They're going to have to open it up for that play fake. And, defensively, Washington is 5th as far as sacks. So I think that they're going to generate enough pressure on Desmond Ridder. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make enough plays down the field to Drake London. You're looking at the yards per game. The Atlanta Falcons are coming in at only 219 a game. So it's not like that they're a huge passing team, and they're going to have to rely a lot on that, since Washington will probably more than likely kind of bottle up, I think, Bijan Robinson here. So I like Washington in this one. I think that this is going to be a barn burner. I think that this is going to be a 24-20 game. I think that this is going to come down to the final moments. It could be a field goal in this one, so it may even be like a 23-20 game. But I like Washington on the road to take care of business against Atlanta. And that is it, I believe, for the game segment here. Let us move over to the fantasy football segment here. And that is, who should you start and who should you not? I'm briefly going to go through this one and talk about it. But these are my quarterbacks right now to list. And that is going to be starting with Josh Allen. I think that Josh Allen is going to have a terrific day against the Giants. I think he is a must start kind of guy in this one. I just don't think that there's going to be much of any resistance here against Josh Allen this week. I think he is a must start for you. Next up is going to be Tua. I think Tua for the Miami Dolphins going against the winless Panthers is a guy that you must start as well. I think that he is going to have a lot of opportunities against a not so good secondary. They're going to be on the field a lot. With the time of possession leaning towards them, I think that they're going to take care of business. Next up, Baker Mayfield. I like Baker Mayfield to be a starter here. He's been efficient as a starter. He's got good blocking. He's spreading it out to his receiving help. He'll need to put it up often again here at home against a tough, stingy up front, Detroit Lions front, but they can be had in the secondary. Next up, I'm going to say is going to be Jared Goff as a must start today. I think that Jared Goff, I know he's coming outdoors, but it's the Bucs. They have had a little bit of secondary issues aside from Winfield. I think that they can be had, and I feel like Baker Mayfield and the Bucs will score enough points to force Goff here to air it out. So I think that the Lions running game is going to be a factor, but I feel like Jared Goff is going to have to air it out as well. So I think he's a must start. Gardner Minshew, I think he's a start as well. He's like my honorable start here, especially if you're playing a daily fantasy football start. I think he's coming in at about $6,500 in FanDuel. I think that this is a huge pivot for you, especially if you're trying to afford like a little bit more wide receiver and running back help. I think he's going to have to chuck it up against the Jaguars. I think that even though that this is going to be a nasty game, if Calvin Ridley is getting points like that through the air, which we know the Jags can do, if we know Travis Etienne is running the ball, we know that they're going to be chasing points. I just feel like that this is going to be maybe a game of back and forth a little bit here. So I think Gardner Minshew has a chance to really have a big day. I think that, he could be, he's a starter, could be a little bit of a tricky spot, but it's going to be CJ Stroud. This is a little tricky. It's home against a similar defense, almost to like what the Falcons like to do in their scheme, which is kind of make you kind of ding the ball down the field. That's kind of what New Orleans is banking on. It's going to be a little bit more of a patient game. Remember, I talked about Lattimore. I know that they just pitched a shutout, but that was against New England. So I think that CJ Stroud, you'll be okay to start CJ Stroud. Next up, as far as running back plays, I got Bijan Robinson at the top of my list. I think that Bijan Robinson is going to definitely have some opportunities. Especially against Washington. I know that they're fifth here, but I think that he does enough out of the passing game as well, a lot like Christian McCaffrey, that he can be effective as a receiver as well. So I think that even if he doesn't get it done necessarily just running the football, I think that he can get it done as a pass catcher. Next up, Christian McCaffrey. I think that Christian McCaffrey is a must start against the Cleveland Browns. You're looking at a guy that is going against a team that doesn't have Deshaun Watson, who's been out to a weird shoulder injury. I think that they're going to have Cleveland on the field. I feel like there's no stopping Christian McCaffrey and that San Francisco offense. Tyler Aguilar, I think he's going to have a day too as well, because if Bijan Robinson's not effective, they're going to have to go to a secondary back. And that means that you're probably going to have to go with a guy that perhaps – you're not necessarily scheming for as much. And I think that he could have a big one for the Falcons. Next up, Ramondre Stevenson. I like Ramondre Stevenson because he had a huge day in that family reunion against the Raiders last year. I think that the Raiders defense can be had. I feel like that you can pretty much gash the Raiders defense. Um, he dropped 172 yards and a TD on them last season. So, yeah, I think that Ramondre Stevenson is on the 200-yard a day alert today, right now, against the Raiders. Zach Moss is my undercard. I think that Zach Moss is a terrific start for me. I know a lot of people would say he's a weaker start because it's like, okay, is it going to be Jonathan Taylor? Is it Zach Moss? I think it's Zach Moss. I believe in him. I think that they're still trying to get um, Taylor up to speed. And I think that, he is going to have to run the football in order to provide some balance for Gardner Minshew. So I expect him to get a lot of carries. If he does what he's been doing thus far the last couple of weeks, he's going to be able to exploit some matchup issues there against the Jags. Next up, as far as my wide receiver plays, quickly, I feel like Tyreek Hill is a must start. He is hot. This guy has been getting all kinds of love down the field. I expect him to get a lot of love against the Panthers. Devontae Adams, I feel like he is going to feast on the Patriots. They did get Jackson back from the Chargers here. I just don't think that they have enough to really stop Devontae Adams, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo is right. Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston, I feel like, are going to have a chance to exploit Dallas in the secondary. I feel like they're going to be chasing points. They do get Austin Eckler back, so this offense is going to be at full capacity. They don't have Mike Williams. I feel like Quentin Johnston has a real chance to make some things happen on prime time. Keenan Allen is going to see a lot of targets. I feel like he is going to be a strong play. Cooper Kupp and Naku, I think, are must starts as well. I feel like that this is going to be a good game against Arizona. Arizona is going to give up a lot of points. I feel like this is something where both wide receivers should be able to get it done. They showed that they could play well together against the Eagles. I think that they're going to have a coming out party against Arizona. Lastly, Calvin Ridley. I feel like Calvin Ridley, he lit up the Colts in week 1. I feel like he's a must start here in this week. Especially since Anthony Richardson is not on the field. This one can get ugly very fast, and it could be a lot of points put up very quickly. Next up, Stephon Diggs. I feel like Stephon Diggs is going to feast against a terrible Giants team. I talked about how they're bottom tier and everything. Osborne, I think that he is going to have a fabulous day. He always steps up, especially if Justin Jefferson is not playing well. He has shown that he can be the guy. I think that he's going to have a good one. I feel like Jordan Addison is another guy that I absolutely would put to with no Jefferson. I feel like this first rounder coming out of USC, I think he is the guy. Other than a Laquan Treadwell, I think this guy is going to step up here. I feel like this is going to be good games for anybody starting Minnesota receivers. Next up, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I talked about how I feel like Detroit is going to be going after points. I feel like that the Bucs are going to have to go after points as well. I feel like these are two starters that you have to have. I know that Mike Evans is kind of coming in a little banged up, and so is Godwin, but I expect them to be okay. I think that they're going to take care of business. I think that they are must starts for you as far as your fantasy football is concerned. So with that being said, guys, that is today's show. We just had some must starts for you as far as who you should start in your fantasy football. And then also, too, we just talked about pretty much every game for this week. Just giving you some housekeeping here. It looks like the Baltimore Ravens have just wrapped up against the Titans, winning 24-16 here. They are now moving on to 4-2 as the Titans fall to 2-4. Remember, Tannehill carted off. Not sure what the injury is, but it doesn't look good. And so I just want to go ahead and thank the sponsors out there for putting sponsorship on the show, the fans out there for going ahead and chiming in on a week-to-week basis here to help us drive content to the show. I just want to thank Anchor for being our platform. I want to also thank also to YouTube for actually housing the show as well. You'll be able to find where the show is at in the show notes, guys. So for myself, this is Real Talk Sports with Rico. We will be back with another show, guys. Until next time, peace. Enjoy Sunday. Enjoy the games, guys. I will see you on the next podcast. Take care, guys.